All right, so the next one here. Here's some good news. The NED confirms that its funding has been suspended. So the National Endowment for Democracy, the NED, which is a U.S.-funded organization that meddles in elections and pushes regime change around the world in the name of spreading democracy, has confirmed reports that its funding from the U.S. government has been frozen, forcing it to suspend operations. The NED said in a statement on Tuesday, quote, "The NED is currently unable to access its congressionally appropriated funds, which sustain nearly all of its grant-making and operations. As a result, for the first time in the organization's 4-decade history, it has been unable to meet its obligations and has been forced to suspend support for nearly 2,000 partners worldwide," end quote. While the NED presents itself as an independent organization, it is nearly entirely funded by the U.S. government, which it acknowledged in this statement. The NED claimed that its funding should have been exempt from the Trump administration's pause on foreign aid. The NED said, quote, 95% of NED's funding is directly appropriated by Congress and is not considered foreign assistance. This funding, therefore, was not subject to the executive order freezing foreign assistance for a 90-day review. However, despite being exempt, access to these funds has been inexplicitly cut off, forcing NED to halt all partner support and furlough the majority of its staff, end quote. This means Victoria Nuland's probably lost her paycheck from the NED. I'm sure she's got some other paychecks, but, at least she's losing something. And, the thing I always point to when we talk about the NED and how it presents itself as this kind of pro-democracy, standing up for human rights around the world type organization. There's an interview, kind of notorious interview now from 1991, where Alan Weinstein, who was a co-founder of the NED, told the Washington Post that a lot of what the NED does was done covertly by the CIA before the NED was established. And that includes providing money and moral support for what they call pro-democracy groups, training resistance fighters, and working to subvert communist rule. And this was, when they were speaking specifically about its work against the Soviet Union. And so, there's all sorts of, the list goes on. One thing recently, there was that regime change in Bangladesh. The Gray Zone had a good report about how the NED was funding these groups, opposition groups there. This stuff still goes on all around the world. So the fact that it's paused now is good. And I hope that they don't get their funding back. Again, the fact that Victoria Nuland works there should be a reason enough alone to oppose giving them money. All right, so the next one here, Trump to cut 90% of USAID contracts and fire more staffers. So this one is from Kyle Anzalone at the Libertarian Institute. A memo circulating in the Trump administration says the president plans to eliminate 90% of USAID foreign aid programs, and an official in the agency said that there are many more terminations coming. So this is big. I mean, cutting 90%, the USAID does similar things, meddling and intervention in countries across the world. A lot of this stuff from USAID and NED was key in the 2014, the Maidan in Ukraine, and the coup that ousted Yanukovych. And this stuff is very nefarious. So, this is one thing I remember when Elon Musk was talking about Doge at first. And I think Ron Paul wrote a column, talking about saying how this stuff should be cut. And that's what I was thinking, that it would be good to cut stuff like this. So I'm happy that this is happening. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any military spending cuts going to happen. And I think there's a chance with some of the things that we see from the Trump administration that they're going to might try to privatize some of this stuff, make it less transparent, make it more secretive than it is. Because, I just can't see Marco Rubio not wanting stuff like this, this type of intervention to still be going on in some form. So I think there is a risk of something like that. But I mean, a 90% cut to USAID contracts is significant. And, there's a chance that they might cut it and then review them and then pick ones that they like. I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but definitely big cuts here.